recognition and who was up last, I think, it's hard to believe that the Democratic Party is going to rally around Vice President Harris again. You're right to point out that, there was a dark room that decided that there was not going to be a mini primary. Even President Obama was rumored to have said, let's have a little contest here after Joe Biden drops out after that debate, and go back to South Carolina in 2020 and how Joe Biden is essentially given the nomination after others step out in order to prevent Bernie Sanders from having positive primaries and caucuses along the way. It's tough to imagine that Kamala Harris is going to cruise to the nomination. I think there's going to be a cast of thousands by the time we get to the real nominating process on the Democratic side, but we'll see.
Yeah, I just want you to hear what she said. This is going to be a bit of her mission statement. Watch.
For far too many people in our country, the American dream is not real. And in fact, for many people in their lived experience, it's what they would consider an American myth.
Kind of inspirational, isn't it?
Well, this is exactly kind of what my book's about, is the case for America as opposed to talking down America. And when I set out to do it, it was voices from the past, presidents, and present voices that are just saying, ahead of this America 250, let's take a moment, take a step back, and say what we do right here in this country, and focusing on freedom and liberty. The American dream is still a reality, despite the fact what the Vice President says. There are tough times. This is not a sanitized look. We're not looking through rose-colored glasses. There are problems. But it's still, as you travel the world, the best place in the world to be.
And you do travel the world, and that's what gave me that perspective. And it wasn't too long ago, and it could happen again, where I remember I was going to the White House, and they were trying to pull Andrew Jackson's statue down right in front of the White House. You remember what they did to Ulysses S. Grant and tried to take Lincoln off the side of a grammar school. And I'm wondering, Brett, is that what propelled you to do this? Let the who's who of America tell their story?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think we should embrace our past, not erase it. There are scars and mistakes and problems that we've done in the past, but we've gotten through them. We've evolved. We are not perfect. I talked to people like Condoleezza Rice, who was born in the segregated South in Birmingham, was friends with the girls who got killed in that bombing at the church, and studied, worked hard, and became Secretary of State and National Security Advisor in the Bush administration. Said she looked in the mirror and said, only in America can this happen to this black girl from Birmingham. Her story, other stories are really inspiring. So there's this website, thecaseforamerica.com, and I started it just to talk about the book and kind of promote it, but I decided that people should put their case for America on there in 30-second videos. I'll give the first 100, that are good, signed book. That's what I thought would be a sales thing. Well, now dozens and dozens of people have done this, and I spent an hour last night looking at videos from around the country, every race, religion, ethnicity, political bent, and they're making their case for America, and it's pretty cool.
I want you to hear what Marco Rubio, so if there's a paperback, a lot of times they ask you to add a chapter. I believe Rubio should be a candidate. Listen to what he said the other day.
My hope for America is what it's always been. I think it's the hope I hope we all share. We want it to continue to be the place where anyone from anywhere can achieve anything. Where you're not limited by the circumstances of your birth, by the color of your skin, by your ethnicity, but frankly, it's a place where you are able to overcome challenges and achieve your full potential.
And we know Marco's background. His dad had to escape from Cuba, had no money, was able to raise his family, and next thing you know, he's got one of his sons is a senator from Florida, and now he's Secretary of State.
I didn't even give him the book before that briefing. But it's essentially the book. That is essentially the book, and in a lot of different ways and shapes and forms. I think that common shared love is something that brings us together no matter your political bent. And the America 250, July, celebrating the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, could be that time. That feeling like when an athlete in the Olympics, an American athlete, wins the gold and the flag is going up, and you get, something in your throat, and you get a little teary-eyed because the athlete is really into it as well. Like that feeling where we rally around sports is kind of maybe what could happen around July 4th and the 250th.
And I watched you with the hockey team after they won gold too, and I know you felt the same way. The name of the book is The Case for America. It is really excellent. Brett, I read The Uncorrected Proof, and I was inspired when I was done. I don't know if you've changed the final copy, but I loved endorsing it, and thanks so much for asking me. Best of luck. I know it's going to open up #1.
Thanks, Brian. I appreciate you having me on.
All right, now it's time for your sneak peek of the week. Let's go. Wow, we've got a lot of House hearings this week. One I'm looking at, the defense budget. It's up to Congress to say you can spend $1.5 trillion. It's up to General Dan Kane and Secretary of War Pete Hegseth to tell us what he's going to do with it. We need it. Make sure you write that check. Secretary of Interior Doug Burgum will be testifying about his budget. He's got a lot of 250 stuff in that. Hopefully they'll greenlight that. And the Senate analyzing FAA safety measures to prevent future collisions. We're all a little concerned, especially after what happened in Newark. Horse racing, the Preakness Stakes is on Saturday. In sports, NHL and NBA playoffs continue. We all know how the NBA playoffs will end. The Knicks win the championship, first time since '73. That is it for us tonight. Happy Mother's Day to all the wonderful moms out there, including my beautiful wife, Dawn. And tune into my radio show on Monday, 9 to noon. Doug Schoen and Michael Goodwin will be with us. And don't forget, in a few hours, I'm going to jump in the shower, change outfits, and I'll be on Fox and Friends. I'll be to the left of Lawrence and Ainsley. Two things before we go. Always stay within yourself and keep it right here on Fox News.
Science Guide to America's 250th birthday, a free guide that helps kids celebrate the epic story of our nation's birth. Send your kids back in time to see our brave founding fathers signing the Declaration and get them ready for this year's massive celebration. Get the Kids Guide to America's 250th birthday for free at freeusaguide.com. That's freeusaguide.com.
Ready to cut your bill? We're ready to help. Its latest proposal to end the conflict and reopen the Strait of Hormuz, the fragile ceasefire continues to be tested.
Do that, we'll have to go a big step further.
President Trump on the situation in Iran as he prepares to head to China, where the lack of oil shipments making it through the Strait of Hormuz will be a key topic. That is also creating widespread ripple effects here at home. We'll break it down with U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations, Mike Waltz, and the top Democrats on the Senate Armed Services Committee, Jack Reed. Then, Virginia's Supreme Court strikes down the Democrats' effort to redraw district lines across the Commonwealth, which a majority of voters there approved just last month.
Talk about your all-time backfire. After they spent all this money, you got to think like Keith Jeffries doesn't feel so great today.
We'll sit down with the Ruthless podcast team to talk about how the decision is shaking up the midterm elections and look at other key races that are heating up. And
my faith was so strengthened because I was a new mom.
A Mother's Day Sunday special with Full House star Candace Cameron Bure. All right now on Fox News Sunday. Hello from Fox News in Washington. We begin with a look at some of today's top stories. 140 passengers and crew on board the cruise ship at the center of the hantavirus outbreak began disembarking today in the Canary Islands. 8 people connected to the ship have tested positive so far, including 3 who died of the virus. All 17 American passengers will be flown to Nebraska, where they will stay under quarantine. And despite hopes for a breakthrough, California investigators searching for the remains of Kristen Smart say they did not find them at a home connected to the man convicted of her murder. Police who have been searching for her body for decades had been looking at the home of that man's mother after testing suggested there could be human remains there. The 19-year-old student disappeared back in 1996. President Trump will head to China later this week for a high-profile meeting with President Xi Jinping amid news of a widening Chinese trade surplus and the ongoing U.S. conflict with Iran, which has largely shut down key oil shipments in the Strait of Hormuz. In a moment, we'll bring in the U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations, Mike Waltz, and Senator Jack Reed, the top Democrat on the Armed Services Committee. But first, we go to Fox News Chief Foreign Correspondent Trey Yingst in Israel. Hello, Trey.
Shannon, good morning. Tension remains high across the Middle East as reports indicate Iran has responded to the U.S. peace proposal. This morning, a cargo ship off the coast of Qatar was hit with an unidentified projectile that caused a small fire on board. We know the incident follows the exchange of fire late last week in the Strait of Hormuz when Iran filed a settlement with Iran. President Trump has indicated that the bombing campaign against the Islamic Republic will resume if a deal isn't reached, although the timeline for an Iranian response remains uncertain.
You think they're slow-rolling it? You think they're intentionally slow-rolling the process?
We'll find out soon enough.
This week, President Trump will travel to Beijing for a state visit. The Chinese import more than 1 million barrels of Iranian crude oil each day. This certainly will be a topic of conversation. Shannon?
All right, Trey Yingst reporting from Tel Aviv. Trey, thank you very much. And so joining us now is the U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations, Mike Wallace. Ambassador, welcome back.
Good to be with you, Shannon. Thanks.
Okay, so in addition to Trey's reporting there, our Lauren Simonetti is also reporting this morning that a U.S.-owned ship was hit by 2 Iranian drones about 7:45 local time this morning. So that, along with Kuwait, UAE, Qatar, is this the response we're getting from Iran as we await for a response to our proposal?
Well, I can't confirm that report, but I can tell you the Iranians have even recently struck a Chinese-owned ship. So with friends like those, you really have to wonder about who you're dealing with. Look, Shannon, at the end of the day, and this is what we're pushing here at the United Nations, we cannot and the world should not tolerate an Iranian regime that is trying to choke off the entire world's economy, hold everyone hostage because of a dispute over its nuclear program. It cannot start just throwing sea mines indiscriminately out into the ocean, attacking shipping. Heck, they've even now started talking about an Iranian state TV of taking the undersea cables that move financial data,
hang on just
cloud
a second.
information.
I'm going to film you all, but I am going to say this. We're a great team together because we know what our objectives are. And you have to know what your objective is. And mine is get myself a little better so I'm not much pain, drink my little hot tea and then a cold drink and say, I'm in a place where they take good care of me.
Right now, the currency is in free fall. Their foreign currency reserves
Bye-bye, I love you.
Zero. Even the New York Times is reporting today mass layoffs across the Iranian industrial sector and factories. What's left of it? You're seeing, alternatively, you're seeing our Gulf Arab allies not only completely aligned with us, standing with us diplomatically, economically, and militarily, and many of them often played both sides when it came to Iran. Iran has now showed its true colors, and they are publicly saying, thank God we're taking actions now before Iran could hold the world hostage with a nuclear weapon. And we shouldn't also discount the fact that you see the United Arab Emirates and even Israel working together with the Iron Dome system and other types of military cooperation. So we're seeing the world align with us. Iran has shown its true colors, yet President Trump is giving diplomacy a chance, backed by our great U.S. military.
Well, how much more time does he give it before we could see a resumption of the bombing, the aerial runs, the things we saw early on in this conflict?
Well, Shannon, that's up to him. We'll see what the Iranians just came back with overnight in terms of their response to our very clear red line. President Trump has been clear.
Do we have a formal response from them? Because I know we've been waiting on
I'll leave that to our negotiators, honestly, what they would consider an actual response, because we've seen other fits and starts. I'll leave that to Jared and Steve and Secretary Rubio. But I got to tell you, President Trump has been clear. They will never have a nuclear weapon, and they cannot hold the world's economies hostage. That's not just us, Shannon. That's the entire United Nations. That's the world community that has passed resolution after resolution for 20 years, saying they can't have a nuke. They have to abide by inspections. They have to abide by the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. And now you have these additional resolutions saying you can't throw sea mines out in international waters. And you also, by the way, can't just indiscriminately attack and shoot in all directions. International shipping, we're even seeing India, South Korea, and other economies that have been so affected by Iran's illegal actions get on board with us, condemn Iran's actions,
That's right.
and isolate
Get
them
on board.
diplomatically.
Okay, I want to make sure we get to China because the president's heading there this week. This has got to be one of the top topics of conversation. Time magazine says this: even though we know China has a huge interest in what transits through the strait, they're a major consumer of Iran's oil and other production there. Times says this: Beijing has so far weathered the disruption surprisingly well. This is due largely to its gigantic reserves, a strategy of developing fossil and non-fossil energy sources in tandem, and building out overland oil and gas pipelines. As such, Xi can feel rightly smug, especially in comparison to beleaguered U.S. allies, and is unlikely to exert himself trying to solve this crisis. So how do you expect this conversation to go between Presidents Trump and Xi?
Well, as it pertains to Iran, the blockade is stopping all shipping coming out, including of Iran's illegal oil that China was purchasing. You also saw sanctions on a number of Chinese refineries coming from Secretary Bessent and the Treasury Department. So that is one piece. Yes, they've had reserves, but we've also seen the Chinese economy faltering as a result of energy prices, not only from Iran, but also Venezuela, that have changed dramatically since President Trump took these actions. But I think it's going to be a much broader conversation. You have the number one, number two economies and militaries in the world. The heads of state should be coming together, not only in this forum, but President Xi's visit back to the United States and other forums like APEC and ASEAN. So this will be one of several. I think you will see conversations around a board of investment, a board of trade, Boeing deals. President Trump always leads with commercial diplomacy that ultimately affects America first and looks at it through that lens. And then finally, Shannon, we're seeing supply chains coming home. That has been a huge priority, whether it's critical minerals, mask gowns and gloves, manufacturing. President Trump is pulling that into the United States, and if they can't come here into the Western Hemisphere, huge lesson that we learned from COVID, secure those supply chains for American industry and for our national security.
It's a lesson we have learned, I hope. Ambassador Waltz, thank you very much for your time.
Unfortunately, Senator Reid, you had it backwards. And Donald Trump and the Republicans have got Iran exactly where we want them to be. And that is no nukes, and we are controlling them straight. And we will be controlling the straits. And we will take advantage of the situation because we beat them to the punch. God bless you. Have a great day. Thank you. Shannon did a good job.
Well, long term, I hope it comes together, frankly, because it's in the interest of the United States and of the whole world. But we're in a situation now that in order to negotiate an agreement, we have to give something to get something.
Not hardly. We got it already.
Willing to give up?
We just have to wait till they're
willing to accept?
Either put up or shut up. In other words, we have control.
Several months ago.
Donald Trump, president, does. Thank you all very much. Hope you enjoy the program here.
And committed to
looking at all sides.
Two, they've demonstrated to the world they can choke off oil coming out of the Strait of Hormuz. They have leverage worldwide now. They are also, I think, in a situation where their nuclear facilities are very difficult to disrupt, destroy, and I don't think they're going to just gladly sort of give off their nuclear potential. Well, we have to have an agreement. If we could get back to the JCPOA, and I don't think we can, that would be a huge success for the president.
There were certainly a lot of flaws that people had questions about that administration, that particular agreement, how it did work and didn't work. And with the Navy there destroyed and a lot of destruction and the blockade of their ports, this administration would say there's been a lot of damage to Iran. But again, we wait on a proposal, a return to our proposal, and we will have to see. But certainly wishing for the world's sake that there will be a conclusion that ends with them never getting a nuclear weapon. Senator,
Amen.
I hope so. Thank you.
Yeah.